Expression can take many forms.
I paint murals of women.
It can contain different messages.
If it's not fun, I don't want to do it.
But no matter how it looks
Or how it sounds.
art
Tell your story, we want to hear it.
is part of the soul.
And this poem was inspired by the 135 bus.
The soul of Colorado.
Thank you for joining us for another year of The Art of Colorado. Welcome to the Denver Performing Arts Complex. I'm Ann Herbst.
And I'm Nelson Garcia. And this year, we promised to be nice to one another.
You promised.
Seriously?
In our first story, Mark Salinger and Foster Gaines show us an art project that shares stories that are hard to tell.
So welcome, you guys.
A classroom comes with opportunity.
That's going to be your inspiration today for your collage.
The chance to create.
Tell your story, we want to hear it.
And the space.
Yeah, thank heaven.
For people like Ken Feltz to show who they really are.
I'm wide open now with everything since I came out, so I like to express it wherever I can.
In this classroom, inside the Denver Art Museum, everyone has a story.
This is a really safe environment to be in.
To be a part of the West of 50 Art Club, you need to know what living west of 50 years old feels like.
I'm 92. How you like that? At age 12, I finally figured out that I was gay, but I knew I couldn't tell anybody.
The club provides a space that can be hard to find. It's hosted at the museum with the Center on Colfax, giving LGBTQ+ adults a place to tell their stories in whatever way they want.
It's nice to be a part of something, you know, in general, you know, to belong.
It's been a long journey for all of us.
Through paint, paper, and a whole lot of creativity.
Oh, it has been a lifesaver for me.
Keithland Wilhite shares his story.
And I think they really just speak to our experiences, whether they were good or bad.
In this classroom, his art is free to be what he wants it to be.
Yes, about being gay, about being rejected for being gay.
So I grew up knowing from my church experience every week, every Sunday, every Wednesday, that being gay was wrong. So, of course, you hide it.
For nearly 80 years, Ken hid his true self. He didn't come out until he was 90.
People who know me say I lost 20 years when I came out and started living my life. They look at me and they say, you look 20 years younger.
Now his art.
Hey, thank you, thank you.
And the pieces from all the members of the West of 50 Art Club.
This is amazing.
Is displayed proudly in the Denver Art Museum.
It's what it is, it's the truth. So
these artists.
It's my story, yes.
Know what it's like to not be able to share their truth.
I wrote a poem.
Now their work gives them opportunity.
Live your true life and do not fear.
Opportunity to tell the world who they really are.
And now they're free and gay.
That shows that art can be therapeutic.
Do you even know what that means?
Kind of. I do know that this next story by Courtney Yoon is about a singer achieving a teenage dream.
Whew. All right, here we go. All right.
Years of practice.
Oh, sorry.
Writing music and singing resonate in this room. It's the spot where a career as a musician collides with motherhood for Amanda Hawkins.
I found my groove, and yeah, so I'm just grateful I still get to do it.
Grateful she found the balance between her first love of music and now her two daughters.
I think I show them that you can have a career, you can follow your dreams.
She's living her dream, one she couldn't have pictured better when she was 14.
Oh man.
In 2001,
the glitter.
Amanda auditioned to sing the national anthem for the Nuggets.
Oh man, it was a baby. It's just weird to see little me in that same spot, terrified and having no idea that I'd be spending quite some time there.
Now for the first 2 minutes of every home game,
oh, say
her voice will ring out as the new primary anthem singer for the Avs.
So this is like the ultimate anthem gig, that's for sure.
She's got the right hair,
Yes, go Avs!
And a voice that's already carried the team through the playoffs.
And that was probably one of the most epic anthem nights of my career.
She's found the harmony between music and motherhood.
I've always wanted, a beautiful family and an awesome career, music flowing through my house, and I have that.
Isn't it beautiful? Nelson, what's your teenage dream?
To be hosting this special with you, Anne.
Destiny manifested. Anyway, up next,
An artist who teaches. We've moved inside the Ellie Calkins Opera House.
art can make powerful statements like, Nelson needs some fashion sense.
Thanks, Anne. Art can also make real statements about life, like this next artist whose message goes far beyond the paint.
Art speaks volumes.
Pretty much the biggest wall mural I've done solo.
So does Audrey Norris.
The stack of books that I have are all books that are about just equity for different groups, LGBTQ communities. The stories that we continue to speak aloud, those are the ones that persist.
Audrey's an artist.
This is nothing but straight lines.
An activist.
This is America. Things can always go sideways.
A collector of facts.
I have a portrait of Ava Hamilton, who is a Native American activist.
That palette gets her through the hottest days.
That's why I have this ridiculous hat on.
Audrey never gravitates towards the easy or obvious.
For that reason, I paint murals of women.
Size doesn't matter. Her works make a statement.
When I first started this project, I was thinking in terms of role models. I'm like, man, look how many role models I've been deprived of by not knowing who these people were.
Her focus is singular.
Absolutely.
Women who make history, but not necessarily history books.
Because, there's just so many individuals. I'm like, really? Nobody told me? This is stupid, So this is Mary McLeod Bethune. She was actually on the Piper's Committee for the United Nations. She was involved in the fight for women's suffrage.
The marks she leaves celebrate women who made their own.
The Audre Lorde? Yeah, that's kind of one of my favorites. I'm not selling it. She was a lesbian feminist. I'm a lesbian feminist. Kind of fell into education. And I kind of fell into education as a result of this work that I do.
A teacher.
I love all things nerdy.
Who's always learning, so she gets their stories right.
You know how many books do I have to read? Which information I have to be just constantly taking in all the time?
Audrey's path to art is a little jagged.
Do you mean how I joined the Marines for some reason?
5 years as a military translator.
That was a weird thing I did.
Taught her to speak for those who couldn't.
I was privy to how Middle Eastern culture actually was, and so I became acutely aware of the strength of propaganda in that sense, and how we choose to view people and how we choose to speak about people. I'm not only showing you, hey, here's a picture of this lady that I think is cool, I'm telling you what she did.
And so the things that I'm most passionate about actively affect me, which is why I don't paint dudes.
Sometimes frustrations fuel her work.
This week, they decided to overturn Roe versus Wade.
For Audrey, it makes each brushstroke more important.
I'm wearing Shirley Chisholm on my shirt today. First black woman in Congress. I think she would be sorely disappointed, but whether she'd be surprised or not is up for grabs. Anger is very good at creating action. And when focused, the kinds of actions that we can take are phenomenal. This is a series of paintings that I do that I call Women Behaving Badly, because well-behaved women seldom make history.
Lessons break through gallery walls.
We have a tendency to kind of think about women in history, people of color in history, and just sort of relegate a few of them. It's almost like a few of them get to do something. When it comes to doing my pieces, I've made a point predominantly to not pick the most famous.
Women's voices are elevated.
She was Iran's first female judge.
That gets people talking.
I like this one because I'm also indigenous. just all of it. It makes me proud to be Indigenous at the same time. It makes me feel more empowered to work harder in what I do in our community.
So if we don't tell our stories out loud, if we don't tell them to one another continually, then those stories fall by the wayside.
Art can be loud.
She was an incredibly prolific writer. She won the Croix de Guerre, which was the French. And so she became a scientist. She became a doctor. This is Brianna Scurry. She was super dope.
When Audrey's brush hits the paper, the wall, the canvas.
Pleasure. Thank you for coming.
She hopes people listen.
So rolling over here, we have Laurie Hernandez. Jemison was the first Black woman to go into space. If you're curious to know more, please look it up.
This next story is pretty inspirational.
Or, in your case, perspirational.
Knock it off.
Jaleesa Irizarry shows us a woman who won't let anything stop her from living life.
That's my graduation picture.
What the past looks like is not the focus.
Yeah, we did that in New York City.
For Brenda Mosby, it's best to look at what's ahead.
I do things I enjoy. If it's not fun, I don't want to do it.
If her downtown Denver condo is any indicator, Brenda has lived with this mantra for a while. Treasures from trips and inspirations for others are all in plain sight. For the woman,
I am 68.
Not looking to slow down anytime soon.
You know, I surprise myself. Sometimes I literally have to stop and say, really, Brenda? You're going to do that? And then over here it's like, wow, Brenda, you did that.
That is the mentality she takes with her
there
as she gears up for something new.
Okay, Brenda, how are you today?
Good, ready.
Excellent, another ballet class.
I know.
Some may think Brenda is too old for ballet.
Trying to remember to smile.
Ask her, and she'll say she found it at the perfect age.
I know that ballet is good for the body and the mind and the soul.
Okay, here we go.
But what is a dancer without its teacher?
Half.
Diane Page is making sure Brenda never needs to know.
She was trying to find somebody who could help her. She had not yet found anyone, and I knew I could help her. You gotta let go. Ballet takes so much concentration because it's so difficult. It really takes you out of your normal world.
Normal world is exactly what Brenda tries to escape, even when pieces of her everyday linger.
So balancing, I know, is very difficult for you because you cannot see.
One day I was leaving work and my vision was blurry. And so we went to the emergency room and the doctor looked at me and she couldn't find it. There was nothing physically wrong with my eyes. And that was like on a Monday, Tuesday. By Friday, I called her and said, I can't see.
Doctors believe Brenda's antibodies attacked her optic nerves. Most of her vision was compromised.
I lost my sight, my physical sight, the ability to see and read and all that. But then I found a vision of why I was here. You know, what I'm here to do.
In 28 years after Brenda's world went dark,
I'll show you with your hands.
Diane Page gave her a hand.
Flex the same time as you come in, and out, flex in.
When Diane walked up to me in a group ballet class, and she said, you need to work with me, because I know how to teach you. And I said, okay. I can't see my feet. And so she used her hand. Okay, here's your feet, and here's fifth, and here's first, here's second, and it's right there, which I have enough sight that I can see when it's put there in front of me. And so that made me feel, I'm gonna cry, how much she cared about me learning this. She really cared. She didn't push me to try to do what I couldn't do. And she took the time to think about, how can I help her? How can I help her? So, yeah, she changed my life.
So yes, that has definitely made me realize that people with disabilities are proficient in so many other ways.
Diane will admit Brenda has changed her life. She knows just as fast as the music changes, so can perspective.
I'd be crazy if I thought of Brenda as limited in any way.
Not used to you being beside me.
Brenda's past may have taken her sight, but it will never take her vision.
Oh, it got me sweating.
Those women are so awesome. I love that story.
After the break, a little poetry.
Thank you for coming back. We're about to hit you with a poetry attack.
Well, I rhyme all the time. I'm a poet, and you know it.
Oh, that was terrible. Mike Grady is going to introduce us to a woman who's a lot better at poetry than we are.
I have been coming here since I was in middle school, and so I would walk here all the time and I would do my homework. I've actually written some poems here, and so this library means a lot to me. So my name is Asia Fox, and I am the newly appointed Aurora Poet Laureate. This hand must not be mine. It is a dress for what I think is me, an entity. I've been writing since I was a kid. I would actually choose to stay inside and write instead of going to recess. Once I started taking writing seriously, all I wanted was to spread the good news and the joy. And mainly I want others to also know the power of poetry. And this poem was inspired by the 135 bus that goes up and down Chambers. Here we are, under someone else's thumb, again. We await the customary swipe, no flick, no pink river pulsing against our backs. Being raised here, I've gone through a lot of things. I went through the school system. I know a lot of people in the neighborhood. It feels like a little encapsulated world that I can tap into whenever I want because I live here and I love having that in my work. This hand has done much. My goal is to teach others and to also inspire others to do the same thing and to introduce them to poetry because it's a very powerful thing. All of us are going through something, and I think poetry is a great way to use your voice and try to articulate and define how you feel like the world is going around you. Last one. What has she taught you otherwise? You're able to kind of do whatever you want with poetry, and you can say whatever you want to say. Thank you.
Who knew Aurora had a poet laureate?
Who knew you could pronounce laureate correctly?
After the break. Welcome back. And we're back outside at the Denver Performing Arts Complex, where we began this artistic journey.
And in our final story, I show you an artist who doesn't need many words to say something.
Some of these cuts are deeper cuts, so I'm not going to try and break them out.
The bond between passion and pain can be found. Scored in glass.
This one's going to be quite a challenge.
Jay Gruters is a stained glass artist.
Let's see here. Had sort of a knack for it and just started doing it.
He's also a husband in grief.
We had a really good life together. She was a wonderful person. She's very outgoing and kind of person that connected with everybody.
Jay and Fran Gruters lived in Estes Park together for decades.
We both liked the mountains. We wanted to live up here. It's not an easy place to live. Hard to make a living.
Hiking was her passion.
And she's actually hiked all the trails in the park.
Stained glass.
I look at these now and think, how did I ever do these?
Was his.
I'm amazed by it, really.
Jay made windows for churches all around the Estes Park area.
So I did the face where I actually drilled out the mouth.
He created his art for nearly 50 years.
A lot of people are quite touched by the glass.
Until he had to stop. Fran was diagnosed with ALS, causing her to lose functions of all her muscles. Jay's passion became caring for his wife.
It gets to where it's hard to walk, hard to swallow. I had to put a feeding tube in her stomach.
In May, she was called to be with God.
Words can hardly express what it's like sitting there watching somebody pass away in front of you. You know you're never going to see him again.
What he can't express in words, he can express in art.
I usually do my own designs, but this was something special.
Instead of making something serious.
So the front of it says, I love you, and then it opened up and he says, something fierce.
Jay is making something special, a card he gave Fran.
And it says, all my love to Fran. Happy Valentine's Day and birthday. Love, Jay.
She gave it back to him the next year, and they passed it back and forth every February 14th.
Probably 20 years or more.
And now, he's giving it back to her one final time.
This is the one that sort of in memory of her. I've always wanted to do it, and I thought, well, I think I'll try it and see. Okay.
It joins his art outside the room he shared with Fran at the Good Samaritan Society in Estes Park.
It's worth the extra work. And it came out good.
A work of love that's more important to Jay than 50 years of work combined.
Yeah, others are a lot of fun and mean different things, but this one has a lot of special meaning to it. Oh, she'd love it. She knows I wanted to do it.
Passion, healing pain.
So this is sort of a memorial to her.
Through the bonds of panes of glass.
She'd probably just cry with happiness.
Well, that was actually a pretty touching story.
Yeah, it was. It was really touching. And you know, we're mostly joking with each other during this whole thing. Mostly.
Mostly. Thanks to the Denver Performing Arts Complex for hosting us this year.
And to everyone out there, except for the guy standing directly to my left, Happy New Year, and I hope you have a great 2023.